your design to your fabric. There are a few different transfer tools I recommend. First is this water-soluble pen. It's made in Japan. It comes with a very fine tip, and it's great for intricate designs. The only caveat to this is that since it's water-soluble, you will have to get your work wet when it's done. If you're using threads that are not color fast, then they could run, and that would be a bad thing. So keep that in mind. This is nice for most projects, but if you're unsure of the color fastness of your thread, I would not recommend it. Another option that's very popular in the world of embroidery is Pilot Frixion pens, and they come in two different kinds. This is a ballpoint pen, and then this is the marker. Marker has a much thicker, obviously, point. So if you're doing really intricate work, the ballpoint might work better for you. These go away when they're introduced to heat. So if you shoot a hairdryer at it, an iron, or a heat gun, these marks will disappear with heat. So let's get to tracing. So here we go. So I've got my hoop, got my fabric in my hoop. This is the good side of my fabric. So it's kind of the opposite way that you would typically do it. But this way, the fabric makes contact with your design or your window or whatever you're using as a light source. So I'm using this light table. You could also just use a window or whatever you've got handy that can bring some light. Turn it on. And then I'm going to bring my design in that I printed off. Oops, wrong one. You could also tape this down for just a little bit added security. Just put a couple pieces of tape down just so this doesn't wiggle too much while I'm tracing. So again, now I've got the good side facing me of the fabric, but it's close down to the design, so that's gonna make it much easier to trace. If I was doing it this way, you can see that it's pretty much impossible. So you really need to keep it this way. So I'm going to start with the ballpoint pen just to show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to be tracing my design onto the fabric. These pens also come in gel pens, which I think the ball uses gel as well, but it's a different point, and I find it much harder to use on fabric. Fabric's kind of a bumpy surface anyway, so, and these pens were not meant to be used on fabric, so they're not perfect for that. But you keep if you don't have Frixion pens and you want to use say a micron pen or a pencil, you can certainly do that, but keep in mind that those pen marks will not go away. So I'd use the ballpoint for that. Let's try the marker. So the marker probably works well on big pieces, ones that aren't very intricate, like this arrow. You can see it's much thicker. So now I'll take it away from the design. You can kind of see this is a much thicker line than this one. So this is the Frixion marker and the Frixion ballpoint. And I'll go ahead and do this too, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. It does leave a pretty dark mark, so it's pretty easy to see. Blue, of course, is a little bit lighter than the black. But I'm not so great a tracer. So let me show you another method that I prefer when I'm transferring designs to fabric. One of my preferred ways of transferring designs onto fabric is using Sticky Fabri-Solvy. So this product comes in different kinds of formats, but this one comes in 8.5 by 11 sheets that you can run through your printer just like you would a normal piece of paper. These packets come with about 12 inside. And you can see there's just a sheet you can easily run through your printer. They run around $10 to $15 for each packet. And I'll show you what it looks like. I ran our design, one of my designs through. If you get a design that's a PDF, this is perfect. Just print the PDF onto the Sticky Solvy, trim it around so it's not, you don't have too much excess. Get your design, get your hoop with your fabric right side up. You go ahead and peel. You peel it just like a sticker. So you have this mesh part here. We're going to put it down. Make sure again that your weave is going in the right direction so none of the strands are distorted. Your fabric's tight, but it's not being stretched or skewed. So center where you want your design to go. And then you just press it down and start stitching. This could leave your needle a little sticky as time goes on because of the adhesive. Just go ahead and you can run it through a pin cushion if you have one, or just wipe it with a clean cloth to keep the stickiness at bay. The edges might start coming up on you, so I always recommend kind of to sew the outside of your design first, just to keep that sticky in place. But that is a really easy way to get your design onto fabric. It works really well with dark fabrics and also with really dense fabrics like denim or felt or anything like that. This is a good way to transfer your designs. So I almost forgot to mention, how do you get the Sticky Solvy off of your fabric and your design when you're done? And the answer is you run this under water, room temperature water. If you start still seeing some little bits and pieces of the Solvy, go ahead and soak it for about an hour, again in room temperature water, and that all this should dissolve. Again, if this is something that's, you're using threads that you're not sure about the color fastness of them, do not use this method because you'll be very sad and the dye will run all over your design. But if you're pretty sure that your threads are color safe, and most DMC threads are, you should be fine. The only DMC thread to be careful of is red, but other than that, you should be good to go. And I haven't had any issues with it. But yeah, you just soak it in water for up to an hour if you still see any of the Solvy left on your